All right, folks, welcome back to this weekly thing we've got going here. We're here today with Andrew Ballard, Can Creek Native Plants. Perhaps you know them. They are my personal one of my personal favorite nurseries and the only one that I know of in North Mississippi that's exclusively growing local ecotype native plants, which we love here. You can't tell how excited I am talking about that. Andrew, thanks for coming on tonight and talking with us, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, I've known,
Excited.
yeah, me too. I've known you and your family. Of course, we've got Joel with us as always, and Joel has prepared. We had a really good day the other day with was that last week with Andrew and some folks with Southeastern Grasslands Institute looking at a site outside of Tupelo, Mississippi. Joel has prepared a pretty amazing slideshow so we can look at what we experienced, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But first, I've known y'all for a while, you and your family, Andrew, and I really love your nursery. But for those who don't, can you give us a little bit of background on you and the nursery, how y'all got started into growing native plants and opening the nursery up?
Basically, I was thinking about moving back into town and talking to Dad, and Dad had this wild idea, at the time of native plants. He had kind of just fallen into that wormhole and had been out. We own some property in Tippah County, and he had been out there, doing what we love to do, going around and IDing all the plants. And he really found that these natives that we have out there are just beautiful, and he kind of wondered why he didn't see them in any landscapes. And that kind of slowly evolved over time into him having the idea of wanting to grow and start this nursery. And I just so happened to be at a point in time in my life where I was, I was game. And so that was probably 5 years ago, maybe six now, 5 years ago. Um, we just started out with one greenhouse. Now we have a brick and mortar, a shop where we do some retail out of. We have some cool garden stuff in there. Even have some house plant and foliage stuff out there. But when we started out, just one greenhouse, no retail, and we were strictly just growing natives and taking landscaping jobs and trying to get these plants installed. And that's really how it all got started. And it's just slowly from there kind of just grown into where we're at now, where we have three greenhouses, four if you count my smaller foliage house. But we're able to grow a lot more plants now. And so I've had the opportunity. I had a lot of fun being able to go out and find these seeds and be able to germinate them and grow them, because we've had some available space to do that.
Dude, that is probably my favorite part about the operation because for years, I do native gardens, natural areas. I use native plants, and I couldn't do what I do without y'all. And I know Joel goes all the time. We're buddies with Patrick. What's Patrick?
Yeah, we love seeing y'all. So
Dude, what's Patrick's like his position up there, man? Is he working in the greenhouse? I always
yeah,
love.
he's greenhouse manager.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
Patrick.
yeah, he I love Patrick. He's brilliant, brilliant guy, but he's pretty much runs day to day in the greenhouse. Right now he's working 2 days a week. He's spending a little bit more time at home with his young daughter. But yeah, he's we love Patrick.
Well, your family is awesome. The folks that work for you are awesome. I met y'all at the farmers market right before, maybe a year before the brick and mortar opened. And I asked your dad about, I got real excited to meet them. And I was like asking him about grasses. And I could see him light up. I could see your mom. They're like, what? Because most people want to see that showy stuff. And I was like, man, you got any native grasses over here? And then we're pretty much immediate friends. And then I remember, a really cool mushroom hike with you on a really cool piece of property in New Albany. And and you got into that. Dude, not only do you know native plants really well, the mushroom thing is super cool.
Yeah.
Like, what you go into that just a little bit?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. I think whenever I initially got back into New Albany, Dad was even when we got Camp Creek started, Dad was the native plant guy, and I knew nothing, at this point. Excuse me. Go. I knew nothing, and so I think I wanted to have just an area that I could have a little bit of expertise in. And that just so happened to be mushrooms at the time. And I fell in love with it and still am in love with it. I think there's just something so cool about, and how they're just so ephemeral. They pop up, they're there for a few days, and then they're gone for the most part. And it's, there's all kind of folklore around them, like, oh, you can't touch that mushroom. If you touch that, you might get sick. And I just found it all interesting, and so I dove into it and um, started to love it. And then, of course, what naturally happened over time was, as I was out there looking for mushrooms, I started looking at the plants, and then kind of had that same moment of like, oh man, I gotta, the plant, this is equally as cool, if not more cool. And now, I'm like, oh, they're way more cool now. But the plants, falling way into the native plant side of things at this point. But yeah, that's kind of what got me into mushrooms, I guess.
Dude, that's awesome. And they're all connected. I mean, that just makes the experience of getting out in nature, the more you know and the more you understand, the better of a time that you're going to have. I mean, it's cool. I can't go 5 feet without looking at something on a trail, dude. It takes.
Oh, yeah. And you can walk and be like, oh, I could eat that. If I needed to, I could walk around and be like, oh, I could eat that, and that would be substance. And now I can look at plants and mushrooms, and so I feel like, if if it got real, I might be able to cook up a little salad out there.
Oh, shoot, yeah. And man, one of the things we're kind of getting into, leading into the amazing day we all had together the other day is, you're working for the nursery, mushrooms, but you have a pretty keen eye, and you're in a good location for this too. So for those of y'all, the nursery's in New Albany, Andrew's in New Albany. He's not far from Tupelo. He's got the Pontotoc Ridge, which is an incredible formation. And I go on, Camp Creek also does some really cool like events, and I encourage you all to look at Camp Creek's website, go to the nursery, look at the events, and that's how I've learned a ton of stuff from y'all. But going over where you're at this band where you cross over multiple ecoregions, the Black Belt Prairie being one, and you've got a keen eye in finding some of these really special biodiverse or plant diverse sites. And you collect seed at these. You're looking for these things for plants to grow at the nursery, right?
Oh yeah, that's like probably my main driving force. Of course, it's fun. I enjoy. I'm one of those people that I enjoy really finding anything. If it's cool, and it's out there for me to find, I'm all over it. And so going out there and finding these awesome natives, that you don't ever see, rare, that's my first thought is, oh, I got to come out here. I need to get seed off of this and see if I can grow it. See if I can get this out there to the public.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm the same way. It doesn't matter if it's a Pokemon card, an arrowhead, a cool
Yeah.
plant, if it's a cool piece of jewelry or what, just if it like something about I don't know, my brain chemistry. Joel, are you like that too? Um, things fascinate you like that, or I mean,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I feel like we all have a little bit of a connection there. Even if you're not into plants, if you have something that you like, appreciate and collect or love or something like that, you can maybe you that's a similar way of thinking. But yeah, man. So Joel has put together. Okay, so Andrew, you found recently, and of course, we know there were human beings there thousands of years before Jesus was on Earth at this site. We have ancient indigenous people proof of that. This is a so. But most recently, you've stumbled upon this pretty incredible place and shared it with us and with some folks at Southeastern Grasslands Institute. Man, how did you? What we touched on it a little bit on some previous videos, but for those that are watching now, how do you what made you arrive to this particular one?
Honestly, I've driven by, that's a highway that I get on all the time, and I've driven by that spot thousands of times, and I've turned and looked and seen those white hills, But one night I was on my phone just kind of looking over Google Earth and going through the images, and I kind of noticed that it looked like that it was connected to the school, and I could kind of see. I had no idea what the road around it was, but I could kind of tell that inside of that road, it looked like there wasn't much disturbance. You can't tell much from those types of images. So of course I had to go out there. So I contacted the school to see if I could have permission to go out there, and the guy that I was talking to had just so happened to had been out at the shop like a year before, and bought a few native plants. So he was all over it. It's like, heck yeah, man, come on down. And so that's really what happened. And
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
went out there, and pretty much immediately the first plant I saw was a Leotris species that I'd never seen it before. So at that point I thought, well, maybe I think I may have just found something pretty cool. And of course you know, it kind of speaks for itself. Some of the photos will just how cool the environment is, how cool the geology of it all. It's just
Oh,
ancient.
yeah. And this may be a good point, and we can all talk on these slideshows. But Joel, you want to start this up because he's going to give for anyone that's watching that doesn't know the Black Belt Prairie. This is a good uh this is some giving some good context leading up to like why this site exists, why it has white chalky soils. So Joel, why don't you kind of take it and let's get into this because and the meat and bones of that.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick before we do, I just want to say, as a garden designer, I love Camp Creek Nursery, and I'm always steering people towards Camp Creek Nursery. Shout out to Patrick Kreider, who's one of your nursery stewards and growers. Without Patrick, these plants wouldn't be what they are. So we love Patrick. And separately, Andrew, I just want to say I first started taking note of you in particular when you guys shared a video footage inside of the fenced in airport in Tupelo at the prairie inside that airport. And when I saw that, I realized, wait a second, this guy is he's doing the same thing that we are. We're looking on Google Maps. We're scouring for these sites, and we're doing everything we can to get in and document these sites. And dude, I was so impressed. Yeah, I'm so proud of you guys. Love everybody at Camp Creek. Yeah, so
Me too, and the big dude that you're growing them. Like not only you're finding them, you're taking photos, you're documenting. We're getting people out there like Southeastern Grasslands Institute to research and
Yeah.
document them. But then on top of that, I can come and buy the plants that we're looking at together, which is like so. Anyway, man, thank you. Yeah, thank Joel. You're spot on. Thanks, dude. That's
yeah, so we'll dive into some photographs now. Just real quick about this site. This is a North Mississippi Black Belt Prairie Site. Andrew helped to secure permission. It's a private land site. He helped secure permission for the group to go out, to document, to photograph. It wouldn't have been possible without Andrew's help in that matter. So I'm just going to switch slides. Okay, so here's what we're talking about. We're in essentially Lee County, Mississippi. Is that right, Andrew?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so North Mississippi, and you can see this is the general area of our black belt that cuts across a little bit of Southwest Tennessee through Mississippi and into Alabama. and you can see it very clearly from a terrain view on map, from satellite views on maps, but you can see that outlined area. That's our Black Belt Prairie, and it's indicative of very rich soil types. And so we'll see that as we go on. This is a two-dimensional view of this site via Google Earth. And from it, you can see already some of the calcareous chalk outcrops, very white in color. And this is a three-dimensional view in Google Earth of that same site. Truly, if you're out here on a sunny day, these kinds of sites can blind you. That chalk is so white, it's almost blinding. You just want to have sunglasses on almost. So, let's see. And we'll get into a few landscape shots first, and then we'll look at some individual plant species. But this is just the general landscape, just so you know what we're kind of talking about here. So here's our landscape. You can see a little bit of eroded chalk outcrop here with some grassland species in the background, and behind that, kind of a dominant cedar forest situation going on. A couple more photos of that.
Oh,
and
so
just
cool.
more landscape shots. And yeah, this is kind of an up close at the soil. You can see all of those shells. At once upon a time, Mississippi was underwater, so you'll see a lot of shells at this site. Just some examples of that.
Dude, that's incredible to walk on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love seeing it. It's amazing, dude.
Andrew, anything to add about just the calcareous soil, this Selmer group chalk, before we move on?
No, it's just, it's a very unique soil type, so you kind of get a unique group of plants that grow there. And that's what kind of obviously led me to want to go out there is, that's a unique soil type. So you're going to find, you might find some cool plants out there, so.
Yeah, what's cool, I'll add and I'm no expert on this at all, but what I find fascinating about it is that these calcareous chalky soils built on seashells on top, these outcroppings or exposed calcareous sites are super poor soils that you can see are like highly erodible. Like when you look at that Sylvium terebinthinaceum, what Andrew called it the beef of that root system. You can see the root system holding on to those. But meanwhile, the black soils on top of that are so highly fertile because of how much fire and grazing and what they just all of the nutrients from the plant matter that have been broken down over the years just sitting on top of it. So unfortunately, places like that, and even in our alluvial plain, which much of it had to be deforested, when people first settled here, were the first sites they wanted to set up a farm. It was like, hey, let's start growing, and immediately transformed. So finding little pieces like this place is like really special. And then on top of that, you mentioned the cedars. So like when you drive down Highway 78 near Tupelo, it's virtually a wall of cedars because you've taken out the fire disturbance that the Black Belt Prairie is completely dependent upon. So if it's not a farm, it hasn't been experiencing fire. Then what would have been what we think prairie is now just like a wall of cedars. So these places, I mean, they're hanging on, and they're hanging on in woodlines. They're hanging on in places like this, and I got a special place in my heart and soul for them. So,
for sure. Okay, we've looked at some landscape shots. Now we'll kind of dive into some individual plant species. And just a quick disclaimer: this is not a thorough floristic overview of this site. This is more of just a beginner level, high level overview to try to get people interested in what's in Mississippi's backyard, because oftentimes folks that aren't familiar with natives have no idea that this is here. So that's kind of what we're talking about. And these are just some of my photos. And so when I first step onto a site like this in the Black Belt Prairie, a couple of things that I'm looking at are who are the first species that kind of stand out to me. And some of those are going to be our grasses and our silphiums, which are indicators. So here we've got our Andropogongiardii, our big blue stem. This is the leaf of Silphium terebinthinaceum, prairie dock. And you can see just additional photos. These leaves, by the way, of these silphiums are probably 4 times the size of my hand at least. They're massive, gorgeous leaves. And there it is in bloom. You can see the sunflowers kind of in the upper left, and then it's massive leaves in the bottom right. Just a beautiful plant. Next up, this is Symphyotrichum novae anglae, New England aster. In this particular black belt site, these guys are massive, truly, like probably 5 feet, 6 feet tall. Would you guys say?
Yeah, some of the specimens are pretty big, pretty large.
What a stunner, dude. Good photo. That's a
Great looking plants. I mean, they're like one of the only plants out there, you know, that had hardly any brown leaves on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything else was starting to kind of die back a little bit. Not that thing.
For sure. Yeah,
Got a lot of asters.
It's an attention grabber in fall for sure.
Beautiful photo, dude.
Yeah.
All of them are, but man,
yeah. Next up, we'll go through some liatris photos. Here we're looking at liatris, probably aspera with gray-headed coneflower or Ratabida columnifera. You know, gardeners love liatris blooms. Native plant people love liatris blooms. Me, not so much. I tend to prefer it pre-bloom and post-bloom. That's my favorite time to view these plants, and we'll look at some of those too. But just to kind of lure you in, just a couple shots of those blooms of liatris. You can see those hairy stems. And then there's one covered in spider webs.
It is the season.
It is the season, indeed. And then we're getting into some of kind of my favorite shots of those seed heads that remain well after the bloom period. You know, as a native plant gardener, that's one of the things I'm looking for. Who are my structural plants? And liatris is definitely one of those that just continues to provide visual interest well after the bloom period. So here you can see it with one of the dahlia prairie clover seed heads in the background. Some additional photos of liatris.
That last one, well, here it is. Different. That's squarosa, right, Andrew? Is that
Yeah. And I'm seeing squarosa and aspera primarily, but there may be other liatris there as well. Andrew, thoughts?
Those are the only 2 that I have found out there.
Got it.
There's the squarosa, I believe, has one of the coolest looking liatris seeds.
Yeah.
Feathered, very feather-like.
Yeah. Plants like liatris, for me, they tend to be a distraction. And so I really try to like look instead to smaller things that we don't see as quickly as we do those vibrant blooms of liatris. So
wow.
Go through those. So like this grasshopper, for example, like when it saw me, instead of hopping away like they typically do, it just slid backwards onto this leaf, and it just blended in so well with this leaf. And I had to get a photo of it. I was just so taken with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool shot.
You know, this is Aristida species, Aristica. Probably, I don't know, Harry, do you know this one? It's Aristida old field.
Yeah.
On grass. But for me, this is equally as beautiful as any liatris bloom. And one of the reasons that I love plants like this is they're so challenging to see and to photograph. And so I love a good challenge, and yeah, so I'm kind of interested in those. Here's a panicum wiry witchgrass. Um,
Is that flexile? There was something, dude, I learned a
it
lot.
is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's panicum flexile.
I
Yeah.
learned a lot, man. I learned a lot with Andrew the first time I went out, and I learned a tremendous amount with Jared Gorrell that we were out there with SGI. Like, I really, what they do, it blows my mind, man. I mean, how quickly he was, and he does it all over the Southeast. Like, they're doing that, able to identify those species from just, oh man, it was so cool to watch.
Yeah. And one of the things I like about sites like these are things that you might not see as quickly, such as lichens. So here's a couple lichen shots up close. Just gorgeous. And I think Andrew actually pointed this one out first. And yeah, super
Yeah, it
beautiful.
looks like an alien world. I love it.
Here's a few shots of Symphyotrichum ericoides or heath aster. It's one I love because it's so tiny, so delicate. Just a stunner in fall if you really are paying attention. So just a few shots of its stems and leaves and its bloom.
Look at that pink in there. That's so
I
pretty.
love that plant.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. One second. Here's Burkelia, false bone set, Buchanera, Florida Blue Hearts. That's Linum, smooth flax, I think.
I don't even think I saw that. That's cool.
Oh, we can go back to it. Yeah, I just randomly shot. It was super tiny and
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
fast.
there was more of that blooming earlier in the summer out there.
Nice.
Surprised to see that one, or there was probably several, but it wasn't as prominent as it was earlier in the year.
Here's Helenium autumnale. That's our common sneeze weed. Um, just a beautiful one. Usually around where Harry and I live, we're typically seeing southern sneezeweed or Helenium flexuosum. So it's super nice to get down in these calcareous prairie sites and see Helenium autumnale and doing its thing. So, Manfreda virginica, false aloe. It's a weirdo when it's blooming. If you haven't seen this one in bloom, I encourage you to do it. It's definitely one of my favorites.
It's awesome. I have it in my garden.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's failed on me so far, but I'm gonna try it again for sure.
Now y'all got it in the nursery, right? Right
Yeah,
now,
we have a lot of Manfreda right now.
y'all got a lot of these,
Right
a
over.
lot or nearly all of them. You've got, if you don't already have it, you've probably already collected seed and it's on the way. You're germinating it, right?
Oh yeah, everything we have right now is local genetics on that.
Oh, that's cool, dude. That is so cool.
Next up, this is Spiranthes magnacamporum. That's one of our ladies' tresses orchids, one of our many native orchids in the southeast. The common name for this one is like Great Plains ladies' tresses.
Dude, this one, like my friend Bart Jones, Tennessee Native Plant Society, he was real excited about this one. I went into a little conversation with him about it. He was stoked to see it, and I was too, man. I mean, that's a cool. I mean, ladies, just Spiranthes in general, dude. That's so cool. But
That
that's
would
the first
be
one,
like S2 or S3 too. Like it might be S2 in the state.
dude. That was awesome seeing that. Beautiful.
Yeah, here's the Agellinus. I don't know which species that is offhand, kind of like a round. I don't know. Harry, do you know it?
I don't. Okay,
Yeah, Sadie.
yes, but it wouldn't have much stock behind it. So,
Yeah.
but either way, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Dude, tons of colors. Now that's cool.
Euploca, super tiny. Was so grateful. SGI pointed that one out.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's so tiny.
Yeah.
Did you see it before, Andrew?
Close up.
Andrew, did you see that one before?
No, that was the first for me.
Yeah, man, it's so small. It's so easy
think,
to
I
walk right.
think I have seen it before, but I didn't go up to it because I just kind of wrote it off. It wasn't flowering at the time, and I thought it was a small euphorbia, like the
Yeah,
other ones I've been seeing out there.
yeah.
Didn't get close enough to it.
Here's another photo that I snagged out there. I believe that one's Solidago rigida, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. And one of my very favorites is our dahlia species, our prairie clovers. Both purpurea and candida are present at this site. I love it primarily for its delicate leaves. And so you can see here those tiny little leaves. It's always fascinated me. There's so many wonderful dahlia species out there. And so always cool
Andrew,
to see.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Andrew told me something really cool about that dahlia. Didn't you throw in some of that chalk, that calcareous chalk into your mix, and that's how you got it to germinate?
Yeah, I got better germination percentage by adding that. So I don't know if it was just one time, but I'm gonna do it every time now.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Because it doesn't take much, you know. You don't have to. I'm
Yeah,
not taking buckets of dirt out of there, you know. You
right.
just a few, like maybe a little handful of soil
Yeah.
to the full tray of seedlings.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. It wants it. That's what it wants. It's cool.
Yep. And then finally, we've got Nabalis asper, which is endangered species in Mississippi. And we're so fortunate to have Jared Gorrell and SGI point this one out to us. Just a few photos of it. I love this shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a few team shots of while we were out there. You can see SGI doing their survey plots. None of this is possible without the people behind the work. And I'm just so appreciative of Andrew, of the SGI teams from both Tennessee and Arkansas who came out. That's Vero, Jared, Allison, Ariel. Yep. Just
Yeah, they were awesome, dude. And Andrew, sorry, I wanted to put your face. Have time, dude. Andrew he had to roll out, but for this photo,
we got him right there though, and we got him. Yeah.
but I wanted to put your huge face in the corner right there. But
Yep. And Harry, it looks like we've got about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. So quick thank you. Andrew, thank you so much. Camp
Yeah,
Creek Nursery, thank you guys. Thanks to SGI team. Thanks to our Mississippi naturalists who've also been looking at this site. That's Daryl Brown and Jeff Wilson. For more information, please reach out to us. And finally, we always like to give some resources. We've been hyping iNaturalist a lot. We've been hyping FloraQuest and our Flora Keys a lot. And tonight we would also like to recommend Southeastern Grasslands. This is a book by Dr. Jovan Hill. He is a professor at Mississippi State University, and he's wrote extensively on our Mississippi grasslands. And there's a number of contributors who've played a part in this book, but it's so good for a really deep dive into not just these prairies, but the soil types, the management of these places, looking at the aquatic life that existed before the prairies were there. It's a beautiful book, and I would say that it's worth it alone just for the photographs of the grasshopper species in the book. So super interesting. Check out Southeastern Grasslands.
yeah. Andrew, what's Camp Creek's website?
www.campcreeknativeplants.com.
Doesn't get any easier than that. Y'all go to campcreeknativeplants.com. Also, dude, super user-friendly website. Like always had a great experience. And y'all ship all over, right?
We do all over the country.
Yeah. And it's worth it. If you can make the drive, I mean, it's 100% worth it. I've never gotten better service before. Like whoever's there is going to know what if you're there, you're probably looking for some specific native species, and they're going to know what you're talking about. Any of the other local nurseries I go to, it just a lot of the time you know, go and then I'm stuck searching, you know, but I mean, y'all go above and beyond. And dude, thanks for bringing us in on this, amazing place, dude. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad y'all got to come out there and enjoy it with me. I love taking people out to see something like that, that other plant enthusiasts, that know what you're looking at. It's always fun to be around people that are like that.
Of course.
In good company.
Any final things? We got about a minute left, and then we got to close off. Any final thoughts from y'all? Cool.
Harry, I'm good. I'm so stoked on this. Like I'm already dreaming about another trip out there. So
Yeah, I can't. I'm ready to get out there earlier in the year. I didn't get out there until a lot of the stuff had already kind of finished blooming. And if you know anything about areas like that, it can get difficult looking for plants. If it doesn't have a flower on it popping out, it's kind of hard to see. And so I'm excited to get out there earlier in the year and see if there's any cool, real early spring bloomers, plants like that. I'm
And me
excited.
too. Me too. Y'all stay tuned for part two. I think we're about to get kicked off. Thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a good one. Thank you,
thanks,
Andrew.
y'all.
We appreciate you, brother.
Soon.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.